Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned by clicking the bell icon. 13 huge Coronation Street spoilers for next week. Next week on Coronation Street, Bernie's future hangs in the balance as she appears in court. Elsewhere, Amy takes a stand on the day of a protest, while Ed is tempted to commit fraud. Here's a full collection of 13 big moments coming up. 1. Bernie appears in court. Bernie tells her family that she'll be appearing in court after being charged with handling stolen goods. Her solicitor Joel advises her to plead guilty. In the courtroom, the judge reminds Bernie of her criminal record and warns that she'll be facing a custodial sentence. Paul intervenes, telling the judge about his M&D and how he needs Bernie around to provide support. Will the judge take this into consideration? 2. Asha's new friendship causes problems. Asha shares her plans to meet up with Isla, her new friend from university. Nina is unhappy and reminds Asha that they already had plans to spend the day together. Nina feels further pushed out when she reveals that Asha hasn't told her about an anti-spiking demonstration that's taking place in town. 3. Asha discovers Adi's heartbreak. Asha and Nina visit the Chariot Square Hotel and spot Courtney and Darren together at the bar. Asha jumps to conclusions, accusing Courtney of cheating on Adi. Nina is forced to step in and explain that Courtney dumped Adi 2 weeks earlier. Adi kept this a secret as he felt humiliated, but Asha is annoyed with Nina for not telling her. 4. Nina feels pushed out again. Asha arranges a lunch for herself, Nina, Adi, and Isla. Nina is unsettled when Asha gets glammed up, seemingly for Isla's benefit. When Asha and Isla chat about work, Adi quickly grows bored, and Nina feels sidelined again. 5. Audrey announces a big change. Audrey shares her plans to return to work. After giving it further thought, Audrey decides to sell the barbers so that she can afford to buy back her house. As Audrey intends to work in the salon and she'll no longer own the barbers, she warns David and Maria that one of them won't be needed moving forwards. David and Maria are horrified and try to change Audrey's mind, but their protests backfire when Audrey orders them out of the salon and locks the door. 6. David and Maria risk their lifeline. After reaching an agreement with Audrey, David and Maria take on the roles of joint salon managers. This secures their jobs, but they soon risk ruining this second chance by arguing over Vin Diesel the Weasel. Audrey orders them to stop squabbling, otherwise she'll have to choose one of them to be in charge. 7. Amy is arrested. Amy makes placards for an anti-spiking march that she'll be attending in town. Steve tells Summer that he's worried about Amy's priorities as she isn't putting the same effort into her degree. Later, Amy and Summer meet up with Evelyn and Cassie to attend the march together. When local thug Mason makes insulting remarks, Amy loses her temper and tries to hit him with a placard. A police officer intervenes and tries to get Amy to back down, but she responds by spraying paint all over the police car. Amy then gets arrested for criminal damage. 8. Amy prevents a dark crime. Amy lies to her family and friends by promising to focus on her university studies for a while. Instead, she heads to a nightclub and watches on in concern as a man called Don spikes a woman's drink. Amy intervenes by knocking the drink out of the woman's hand and warning her about what Dan had planned. The woman thanks Amy and leaves for the night. Shortly afterwards, Amy approaches Dan and pretends to have a romantic interest in him as she flirtily introduces herself. It seems that Amy is about to take the law into her own hands. 9. Mason forces Dylan into more bad behavior. Dylan feels guilty when Scene sells some of his own clothes to pay for the teen's new designer trainers. Later at school, Mason forces Dylan to sell vape pens to the other kids. Hope tries to buy one and Liam warns against it, pointing out that she's only 12. Mason protests otherwise and forces Dylan to sell the vape to her. 10. Dylan gets in trouble again. Word of Dylan selling a vape to Hope soon gets back to Scene. Scene takes action by finding his son's stash of vapes and getting rid of them. Tyrone and Cassie pay a visit and demand that Dylan gives up the name of the person forcing him to sell vapes. Scene shares his theory that it's Mason and threatens to call the police. Later, Mason is unhappy when he finds out about the stash of vapes being destroyed, and he demands Dylan's new designer trainers as repayment. 11. Ball plans for the future. Paul and Billy visit the speech therapist, and make plans for when Paul won't be able to use his own voice as his illness progresses. The couple explained that they'd like to use Paul's real voice to create his replacement one. 12. Jenny receives shocking news over the Rovers. Brian informs Jenny that Waterfords has changed its original plans for the Rovers. The pub has now been put up for sale and a property developer plans to turn it into flats. As shared by Corey boss Ian McLeod recently, this won't be the final twist in the tale as the pub will defy the odds by reopening later this year. 13. Ed is tempted to commit fraud. Another letter addressed to the late Norris Cole arrives at number 3. Ed opens it and finds a credit card inside, which he pockets. He then heads to a casino and faces temptation to gamble with illegally obtained money. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share.